There's one thing that strikes fear into me at a restaurant like nothing else. It's the words homemade ketchup. Now I understand, even admire the desire to make ketchup from scratch. Scratch cooking is 9.5 times out of 10 so much better than anything store-bought. But the fact of the matter is, a long time ago, one brand decided what ketchup should taste and feel like, and we all drank the Kool-Aid. Ketchup? Wait, do you guys drink it? Yeah, me neither. I don't do that. And now here we are. That brand is Heinz. Even here at America's Test Kitchen, our unbiased reviews team held a blind tasting of 8 different ketchups, and Heinz rose to the top. One person called it the ketchup of my youth. Another identified it as Heinz, admitting it's my standard and I'm attached. Does this ring true for you? If so, and especially if not, I want to hear in the comments. Maybe we even have some homemade ketchup fans in the mix? So how did we get here? What exactly is it that makes Heinz the platonic ideal of ketchup? What makes ketchup so popular in the first place? And what does it have to do with running on a tub of cornstarch and water? Well, you're about to find out. Heinz's complete and utter market dominance dates back to 1876, when Pittsburgh-based first-generation German-American Henry J. Heinz, a guy who'd been in the business of bottling and selling grated horseradish, introduced Americans to a thicker, tangier, sweeter, more tomatoey version of ketchup than anyone had ever tasted. Ketchup's origins are unknown and have long been disputed by historians. Many claim it's a derivative of vinegar-based pickling marinades and treatments like Spanish escabeche. Others say it's distantly related to garum, the fish sauce of ancient Greece and Rome, or to various preparations from East or Southeast Asia, like sweet soy sauce known as Ketchup manis. None of these theories definitively answers the origin question, but they do help explain why there's no agreed upon spelling for ketchup, which is sometimes referred to as catchup, or my favorite, catsup. Early American ketchup prototypes were pretty thin and watery. They're made from ingredients like boiled mushroom cooking liquid, wine, vinegar, ginger, and warm spices. Even when tomatoes entered the formula in the 19th century, most commercial versions lacked body because they were made from unripe tomatoes. They didn't provide enough pectin to give the sauce much body. The other drawback to those early ones was that many ketchups contained benzoate preservatives, which the USDA had deemed unsafe. Producers allegedly used these preservatives to mask the crummy, unripe tomatoes they were using, as well as the subpar sanitation standards. Delicious. Heinz had a better idea. Replace the unripe tomatoes with ripe ones, and replace the chemical preservatives with lots of vinegar and sugar, which essentially pickled the tomatoes to preserve them. In doing so, he made it thicker, sweeter, and much better tasting. That was the beginning of ketchup we all know today, and it became the most iconic condiment in Heinz's fleet of products, which by the way totaled more than 57. Even when Heinz launched the 57 slogan at the end of the 1800s, the company was making more than 60 different products, and Heinz supposedly chose that number because he wanted to convey that his company had a ton of options, and because 57 was the combination of his and his wife's lucky numbers, 5 and 7. Quirky guy, sweet gesture, hard to say. History is all well and good, but what I really want to dig into is what makes ketchup so good in the first place. And for that, we need science. One big reason is that it features the 4 basic tastes that are pretty universally loved: sweet, sour, salty, and umami. And it skips the bitter taste that we humans learn to appreciate and love, but we don't right out of the gate. Ketchup is the condiment definition of a crowd pleaser, and tomatoes are a huge part of the appeal. They contain both glutamates and ribonucleotides, which are both naturally occurring substances in foods that make them taste really savory. Foods that contain just glutamate or just nucleotides are pretty darn savory on their own, but when both are in the mix, they synergize and can increase savoriness 8-fold. Ketchup contains tomato concentrate, which is all that intense savoriness minus most of its water, so it's ultra umami. There's also plenty of sugar and salt in the mix, which complements those umami tastes, as well as vinegar that adds brightness, super savory onion powder, spices, and natural flavorings. Most ketchup producers won't divulge any specifics about their seasoning formulas, but judging purely by smell and taste, my guess for Heinz is that there's trace amounts of maybe celery powder, caraway, or allspice. Warm spices like allspice and cloves have been part of the ketchup formula for centuries, and they obviously add to the appeal, but only if used in moderation. If you ask me, too much spice is one of the downfalls of homemade ketchups. Another is texture. Rarely are they as smooth as store-bought. Speaking of texture, that perfectly smooth, clingy consistency is also part of its appeal and mystique. It's thick enough to spread nicely on a burger and to coat a French fry, but not starchy thick or cloying on the tongue. It's a liquid when it squirts from the bottle, but then it sits in a tidy pile on your plate. There's a specific term for that consistency, a shear thinning non-Newtonian fluid. Say what? Non-Newtonian fluids are liquids that do not behave like water. Water flows in a predictable manner and its viscosity is constant. With non-Newtonian fluids, viscosity actually changes when force is applied. There are shear thinning non-Newtonian fluids, of which ketchup is one, and there are shear thickening liquids. Let's start there with Oobleck. Oobleck is a mixture of cornstarch and water, and its behavior is pretty wild. Check it out. I've mixed up a batch here, and watch what happens when I punch it. It hits right back. My hand basically bounces off the surface. It is not unlike punching a super firm mattress. Now, before you all go out and buy 200 pounds of cornstarch to start making your own mattress, hold up. Because look what happens when I slowly push my hand in it. It easily sinks in. So cool, right? But that's actually nothing. Check out this video of test cook Joe Gitter sprinting on top of a giant vat of Oobleck. Joe's a really fast runner, and as his feet applies force by slamming against the surface, the liquid thickens and acts like a solid, which prevents him from sinking in. Then when Joe stops running, the liquid thins and he sinks like a stone. Don't worry, we did get Joe out. Ketchup, along with other kitchen staples like mayonnaise, oyster sauce, and mustard, are the opposite of Oobleck. They are shear thinning liquids. They get looser when force is applied. The iconic demo of shear thinning is shaking up a glass bottle of ketchup. If you gently agitate the bottle to get just a dollop for your burger, it stays put like a solid. Shake it harder, and then all of a sudden ketchup flows really fast and comes gushing out. This is why ketchup producers introduced squeeze bottles that made it much easier and less messy to get the ketchup out and aim it at the target. So we understand ketchup flavor and ketchup texture, and we understand how to get it out of the container. I think it's time to eat. Now, the best way to enjoy ketchup is, of course, a dip for hot, salty fries. Now, if ketchup just did that, I'd still call it a success. But for us cooks, ketchup is so much more than a condiment. Its sweet, tangy flavor and viscosity make it a go-to base for meatloaf glaze, barbecue sauce, cocktail sauce, and Catalina and Thousand Island dressings, and even more. One of my all-time favorite uses is in Cóctel de Camarón, Mexico's iconic shrimp cocktail. Rather than dipping plain poached shrimp in a thick sauce, you toss poached shrimp in a thinner ketchup-based mixture that's seasoned with lime juice, hot sauce, cucumber, onion, avocado, and cilantro. Basically all of the good stuff. Then you scoop it up with saltines or other crackers or chips. It's bold, it's refreshing, it's so dang good. And the recipe is linked below. Ketchup also allegedly has a lot of hidden talents. I've read about mixing it with sugar and rubbing it on your skin as an exfoliating facial scrub, lathering it onto a dirty dog like shampoo to deodorize its fur, or even freezing the little single-serve packets you get in restaurants as mini ice packs. Whew, shooting these videos is not easy. Just chill a little bit here. Now, I'm still working my way through most of these. If you have a mucky dog I can borrow, that would be a huge help. And if you have other weird ketchup tips, I'd love to hear about those in the comments. In the meantime, I'm gonna be eating my fries in ketchup and scooping up bite after bite of Cóctel de Camarón, because this is definitely how to eat ketchup. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what your favorite brand of ketchup is and why. And it's okay if you like homemade ketchup, I want to know that too. Thanks to Andrew F. Smith, author of Pure Ketchup, and by all accounts the world's leading expert on the subject. His book is full of little known ketchup intel. I highly recommend you check it out. I also owe a huge thanks to Joe Gitter, and especially to our senior science research editor, Paul Adams, for helping me mix up those 800 gallons of Oobleck. Yes, 800 gallons. We use a cement mixer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.